You already know something is wrong before she says a single word. It hits you in the gut first. That sinking feeling when her replies get shorter. When her laughter loses its music. When she starts looking past you instead of into you. One week she's tracing circles on your chest, and the next she's sitting on the opposite end of the couch. One month she's excited to see you, and now she barely glances up when you walk through the door. The warmth you once felt radiating from her has gone cold. And you stand there wondering what the hell happened. This is the moment every man dreads. The slow fade. The quiet exit. The emotional withdrawal that nobody prepared you for. She hasn't said goodbye, but her energy already left the room weeks ago. You can feel her slipping through your fingers like sand, and every instinct in your body is screaming at you to do something. Say something. Fix something. Your mind races through every conversation, every argument, every moment you might have screwed up. And then the urge takes over. You want to sit her down and explain yourself. You want to remind her who you are. You want to defend your intentions, clarify your actions, prove that you're still the man she fell for. But here's what nobody tells you until it's too late. The moment you open your mouth to explain yourself to a woman who's already checked out, you don't pull her closer. You push her further away. Every word you speak becomes a nail in the coffin of her attraction. She doesn't hear your sincerity. She doesn't feel your love. She watches you scramble. She sees you sweat. She notices the desperation leaking through your voice. And something inside her confirms what she was already starting to believe. That maybe she was right to pull away. Attraction isn't a debate you can win. Connection isn't a case you can argue. When her heart starts closing, your logic becomes noise. You think you're showing her commitment, but she reads it as weakness. You think you're fighting for the relationship, but she sees a man terrified of being alone. You believe your words will bridge the gap, but every syllable widens it. Because she stopped listening to what you say long ago. Now she only watches how you carry yourself when things fall apart. This is the brutal truth most men learn after they've already embarrassed themselves. Explaining yourself to a woman who's losing interest doesn't bring her back. It confirms every doubt she had about leaving. Your panic becomes her permission to go. Your desperation becomes her justification. And the man she once admired becomes someone she barely recognizes. Not because you changed, but because fear made you forget who you were. Let me tell you something that will change how you see relationships forever. A woman's desire cannot be negotiated. It cannot be convinced. It cannot be reasoned into existence through carefully constructed arguments. You could hire the greatest lawyer on earth to present your case, and her heart would remain unmoved. Because attraction doesn't live in the logical part of her brain. It lives somewhere words cannot reach. When she starts pulling away, something invisible happens. Her ears close before her mouth does. She might nod while you talk. She might say she understands. But her emotional receiver has already switched off. You're broadcasting on a frequency she stopped tuning into weeks ago. And every word you speak after that point becomes static. Background noise. Something she endures rather than absorbs. This is where men destroy themselves without realizing it. They believe communication solves everything. They think if they just find the right combination of words, they can unlock her heart again. So they talk more. They explain harder. They send longer texts. They have deeper conversations that go nowhere. All while missing the brutal reality staring them in the face. She isn't processing your message anymore. She's processing your energy. While you're carefully selecting vocabulary, she's reading something else entirely. The tremor in your voice. The neediness behind your eyes. The speed of your responses. The way you lean forward when she leans back. She's watching your body betray every confident word coming out of your mouth. And what she sees tells her more than your speech ever could. She sees a man losing his grip. She sees someone whose emotional stability depends on her staying. She sees fear dressed up as love. You think explaining yourself demonstrates commitment. To her it screams insecurity. You believe clarifying your intentions shows maturity. She interprets it as panic. You assume laying out the facts will help her understand. But understanding was never the problem. Her feelings shifted. And feelings don't respond to presentations. Here's what makes this so painful. You could be completely right. Your explanation could be flawless. Your intentions could be pure as snow. None of it matters. Because she's not evaluating the accuracy of your words. She's measuring the desperation behind them. Every justification signals that you're trying too hard. Every defense reveals how much her opinion controls your emotional state. Every clarification proves you need her validation to feel okay about yourself. The harder you work to make her understand, the less she respects what she once admired. Your effort becomes evidence against you. Your words become weapons you use on yourself. And the connection you're trying to save dies faster with every sentence. She didn't need you to explain yourself when she was attracted. She needed you to remain the man who never felt the need to explain in the first place. There is a difference between opening your heart and bleeding out in front of someone. Most men never learn this distinction until the damage is already done. They hear that women want emotional availability. They believe vulnerability builds connection. And they are not entirely wrong. But they miss the critical detail that changes everything. Vulnerability from strength attracts. Vulnerability from panic repels. When you share your feelings because you are secure in who you are, a woman feels safe. She trusts you more. She opens up in return. The connection deepens organically. But when you spill your emotions because you are terrified of losing her, she does not feel safe. She feels burdened. She senses that your emotional well-being now rests on her shoulders. And that weight becomes suffocating. The man explaining himself to a retreating woman is not being courageously honest. He is hemorrhaging. He is exposing wounds in the desperate hope that she will feel guilty enough to stay. He mistakes his emotional bleeding for romantic devotion. But she sees something entirely different. She sees a man falling apart. She sees someone who cannot regulate himself without her presence. She sees weakness masquerading as love. What you believe you are communicating means nothing compared to what she actually receives. You think you are showing devotion. She reads desperation. You think you are demonstrating how much she matters. She hears that you have nothing else going on. You think you are proving your commitment. She concludes that you have lost yourself completely. The message you intend to send and the message she receives exist in entirely different universes. Women do not abandon men who stumble. They abandon men who shatter at the first sign of disapproval. She can forgive your mistakes. She cannot respect your collapse. She can overlook your flaws. She cannot unsee you begging for her validation. The image of you pleading for understanding burns itself into her memory, and it replaces the image of the confident man she originally chose. Every justification you offer from a place of fear hands her more power. You are essentially asking permission to exist in her life. You are requesting that she approve of your character. You are seeking her verdict on whether you deserve to stay. This dynamic kills attraction faster than any argument ever could. She did not sign up to be your judge. She wanted a partner who stood beside her. Instead, she found someone kneeling before her begging for mercy. She fell in love with a man who knew his worth. A man who did not require constant reassurance. A man whose identity remained solid regardless of her mood. That man attracted her effortlessly. But the man now drowning in explanations barely resembles him. Fear has hollowed him out. Desperation has rewritten his personality. And she mourns the loss even while he stands right in front of her still talking. She is testing you right now and does not even realize it. Her withdrawal is not random. Her coldness is not accidental. Something ancient and instinctive inside her is measuring your response to uncertainty. She pulls back and watches what happens next. Not consciously, not maliciously, but automatically. Every woman does this. And most men fail spectacularly without understanding what went wrong. You interpret her distance as a problem demanding immediate solution. Your brain shifts into repair mode. You analyze what changed. You replay conversations searching for clues. You prepare speeches designed to bridge the growing gap. All the while missing what is actually happening beneath the surface. She is not waiting for your words. She is evaluating your stability. The question she silently asks has nothing to do with your explanation. She wants to know if you can handle emotional turbulence without losing yourself. She needs to see whether her uncertainty destroys your certainty. She is observing whether your core remains solid when external validation disappears. Your answer comes not through language but through presence. Most men respond to this test by chasing harder. They double their attention. They triple their communication. They flood her with reassurance, hoping to fill the void she created. But this response confirms her worst suspicions. It proves that your emotional equilibrium depends entirely on her participation. Remove her warmth and you crumble. Withdraw her affection and you panic. She becomes responsible for managing your feelings. That responsibility exhausts her. Here is what she actually needs from you in this moment. Stillness. Not angry silence. Not cold withdrawal. Not strategic game playing. Genuine groundedness that communicates something profound without uttering a syllable. It tells her that your world continues spinning whether she participates or not. It shows her that affection is welcomed but not required for your stability. When you remain centered during her confusion, something shifts in her perception. The man reacting to her every mood disappears. In his place stands someone anchored in his own identity. Someone whose peace does not fluctuate based on her emotional temperature. Someone who trusts himself more than he fears her departure. That version of you awakens something different inside her. She expected you to chase. She anticipated emotional outbursts. She prepared herself for desperate conversations and exhausting negotiations. Your stillness interrupts her expectations completely. Suddenly she cannot predict your next move. The script she rehearsed becomes useless. And in that uncertainty she begins reconsidering everything she thought she knew about you. Groundedness speaks a language attraction understands fluently. It bypasses her logical defenses. It communicates directly to her instincts. It tells her that this man will not collapse during difficult seasons. It whispers that he can weather storms without drowning. It promises stability she can actually lean on. No explanation provides this message. Only your energy delivers it. And that energy either confirms her decision to leave or makes her question whether leaving was ever the right choice. The most powerful response you will ever give a woman pulling away is absolute stillness. Not revenge disguised as silence. Not manipulation dressed up as mystery. Not punishment wrapped in withdrawal. Pure acceptance of what is happening without fighting against it. This kind of quiet carries a weight that words can never match. When you refuse to chase her fading interest, you create empty space. That space becomes a mirror she cannot avoid. Without your constant reassurance filling the void, she must confront her own reflection. She has to examine her choices without your interference. She must sit alone with the consequences of her emotional retreat. And that isolation does something your paragraphs of text never could. Your explanations give her ammunition. They provide material she can argue against. They offer reasons she can dismiss or reframe. But silence leaves her with nothing to fight. She cannot debate what you never said. She cannot twist words you never spoke. She is left wrestling only with herself. And that internal battle reveals truths your voice would have buried. Women prepare themselves for emotional confrontation. They expect men to react predictably. The chase, the begging, the endless discussion about feelings. She has rehearsed her responses to all of these approaches. Your stillness throws her completely off balance. The script she memorized becomes worthless. The defenses she constructed find nothing to defend against. You have removed yourself from a war she was ready to fight. In that unexpected peace, a question begins haunting her thoughts. Why is he not pursuing me? This question grows louder each day you remain composed. It echoes in quiet moments when she expected your name on her phone. It whispers at night when she anticipated your desperate attempts at reconnection. Your absence from the chase forces her to wonder if she miscalculated your investment entirely. This wondering accomplishes what your best argument never could. It makes her genuinely curious again. Not about what you have to say, but about who you have become. The man she thought she understood suddenly seems unknowable. The predictable patterns she relied upon have vanished. You transformed from familiar territory into uncharted land. Silence also protects something precious that explanations destroy. Your dignity. Every word spoken from desperation chips away at your self-respect. Every message sent from fear diminishes how you see yourself. But stillness preserves your integrity completely. You walk through this storm without abandoning who you are. Whether she returns or not becomes secondary. You maintained your foundation while everything around you shifted. The quiet you offer is not absence of feeling. It is presence of self-control. It demonstrates that your emotions exist without enslaving you. It proves you can experience pain without letting pain dictate your actions. This mastery over yourself communicates masculine strength more clearly than any declaration of love. She may not understand it logically, but something deep inside her recognizes it immediately. The second you start justifying yourself to a woman walking away, you crown her queen of your emotional kingdom. You place her on a throne she never asked for and probably does not want. You bow before her judgment like a peasant awaiting sentencing. And once you assume that position, climbing back to equal ground becomes nearly impossible. Think carefully about what happens during your explanation. You speak as though she holds authority over your character. You present evidence as though her verdict determines your value. You argue your case as though her perception defines your reality. Without realizing it, you have transformed a romantic partnership into a courtroom drama. She becomes the judge. You become the accused. And love cannot survive that power imbalance. No woman maintains attraction for a man seeking her permission to be himself. She might stay out of comfort. She might remain from convenience. But desire dies the moment she realizes you need her approval to function. That neediness repels her on a level she cannot even articulate. Something primal inside her recoils from a man who cannot stand without her blessing. Every defense you mount reinforces this destructive dynamic. You are essentially confessing that her opinion matters more than your own self-assessment. You admit that her interpretation holds more weight than your lived experience. You reveal that her approval is necessary for your emotional survival. These confessions feel like honesty to you. To her they sound like weakness. A man rooted in his identity requires no external validation. He knows his worth independent of anyone else's measurement. He understands his character without needing confirmation from outside sources. Her opinion of him is welcomed but never required. This self-possession is not arrogance. It is the foundation of genuine confidence. And women recognize the difference instantly. When you stop seeking her verdict, something remarkable happens. The power dynamic rebalances naturally. You no longer speak from beneath her. You stand beside her as an equal. Your words carry weight because they do not beg for acceptance. Your presence commands respect because it does not demand approval. She stops seeing a defendant and starts remembering a partner. Handing over emotional authority also exhausts her eventually. No woman truly wants the responsibility of determining your worth. She wants a man who already knows it. She desires someone whose foundation does not crack when she questions him. She craves a partner who remains solid even when she wavers. By constantly seeking her judgment, you burden her with a role she never signed up for. The throne you built for her becomes a prison. She feels obligated to manage your emotions. She becomes responsible for your stability. Every criticism she offers carries weight she never intended. Your happiness rests on her shoulders alone. This burden crushes intimacy slowly. It transforms connection into obligation. And eventually she resents the very position you placed her in. Something extraordinary happens when you stop chasing what is walking away. The entire dynamic flips without you saying a single word. She expected pursuit. She anticipated desperation. She prepared herself for the emotional flood that usually follows female withdrawal. Your stillness disrupts every prediction she made about how this would unfold. Without your constant reassurance softening her perspective, she faces uncomfortable truths alone. She cannot point to your neediness as justification for leaving. She cannot use your desperation as evidence that she made the right choice. She cannot blame your emotional collapse for her own decision to retreat. The mirror you refused to fog with explanations now reflects only her actions. Memory works differently in the absence of noise. When you flood her with words, her mind stays busy constructing counterarguments. She focuses on defending her position rather than examining it. But silence removes that distraction completely. Her thoughts wander backward without resistance. They revisit moments she dismissed too quickly. They linger on efforts she failed to appreciate. They replay your patience during seasons when she offered none. She begins remembering what your presence actually provided. The calm you brought to chaotic days. The consistency you maintained when everything else shifted. The attention you offered without demanding recognition. These memories surface naturally once your voice stops drowning them out. And they carry more persuasive power than your most eloquent speech ever could. This is when genuine reconsideration becomes possible. Not because you convinced her through argument, but because space allowed buried truth to rise. She reconnects with feelings she thought had disappeared. She rediscovers appreciation she forgot she possessed. She recognizes value she took for granted while it stood right before her. The woman who drifts often loses sight of what she drifts from. Your absence illuminates what your presence obscured. Suddenly the gap she created feels less like freedom and more like loss. The distance she initiated starts echoing with loneliness she did not anticipate. She wanted space but forgot that space can feel terrifyingly empty. None of this reflection happens while you chase. Pursuit keeps her focused on escaping rather than evaluating. It maintains her defensive posture instead of allowing vulnerability. It confirms her narrative that leaving was necessary rather than challenging it. Your stillness removes every external factor from her equation. Only her choices remain. Only her behavior sits under examination. Some women reach clarity through this process and return with genuine appreciation. Others discover they truly wanted to leave and continue walking. Both outcomes serve you completely. The woman who comes back meets a man who did not crumble. The woman who keeps going reveals incompatibility you needed to see. Either way, your dignity remains untouched. Either way, your self-respect stays protected. And either way, you learn exactly where you stand without ever having to beg for that information. Every man who has poured his heart out to a woman already leaving knows a specific kind of shame. It lives in your chest long after the conversation ends. It revisits you during quiet moments when your mind wanders backward. It whispers reminders of how you looked begging someone to understand your worth. That memory burns deeper than rejection itself. You rehearsed your speech thinking it would save everything. You chose words carefully believing they would rebuild the bridge. You opened every vulnerable corner of yourself hoping transparency would earn her return. And then you watched her face remain unchanged. You saw her eyes glaze over with distant politeness. You felt the silence after you finished that confirmed nothing had shifted. That moment teaches something textbooks never cover. Explanation without reception is humiliation. Vulnerability without reciprocation is exposure. You stood emotionally naked before someone who had already turned away. And the coldness you felt was not just her leaving. It was your dignity walking out alongside her. Silence would have spared you this particular wound. Not because silence is manipulation, but because silence is self-preservation. Some truths should not be shared with people who cannot hold them gently. Some feelings deserve protection from those who no longer care to receive them. Your deepest thoughts require worthy recipients. A woman mid-exit does not qualify. When you keep your words inside during her withdrawal, you protect something invaluable. Your self-image remains intact. You do not carry the memory of your voice cracking while pleading for another chance. You avoid the flashbacks of saying too much to someone offering too little. You spare yourself the haunting replay of desperation that changes how you see yourself. The man who stays quiet walks through fire without catching flame. Whether she returns becomes irrelevant to his internal experience. He knows he did not sacrifice his spine for temporary hope. He knows he did not trade self-respect for one more conversation. He knows his worth was never placed on the negotiation table. That knowledge becomes armor he wears into every future connection. Dignity is not about pride or ego. It is about maintaining alignment with who you know yourself to be. Every time you explain yourself to someone leaving, you step outside that alignment. You become someone performing for approval rather than living from authenticity. You abandon your center hoping she will replace it with validation. She never does. And you are left more hollow than before. Silence keeps you whole when everything around you fragments. It maintains your shape when external forces try to bend you. It whispers that your value exists independent of her recognition. And years from now you will not cringe remembering words you spoke from desperation. You will stand tall knowing you faced loss without losing yourself. That is worth more than any relationship that required you to beg for its survival. Something fundamental transforms inside a man who watches love walk away without chasing it. He discovers a version of himself he never knew existed. Not the bitter version hardened by rejection. Not the cold version who swears off vulnerability forever. Something far more valuable emerges from that fire. A man who cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Before this trial you operated from hidden fear. Fear of abandonment quietly influenced your decisions. Fear of rejection shaped how you showed up in relationships. Fear of being alone made you tolerate situations beneath your standards. You never recognized these fears because they disguised themselves as love. But watching her leave without crumbling strips those disguises away completely. You learn that your emotional world does not require another person to sustain it. This revelation changes everything about how you exist. Your happiness stops depending on her text messages. Your peace stops fluctuating with her moods. Your identity stops shifting based on her approval. You become the source of your own stability rather than outsourcing it to whoever shares your bed. This is not emotional detachment dressed in healthy language. This is genuine freedom most men never taste. The freedom to love completely without losing yourself inside another person. The freedom to commit fully without abandoning your standards. The freedom to care deeply without making someone else responsible for your well-being. Few men achieve this balance. Fewer still understand its profound attractiveness. Women sense this transformation immediately upon meeting you afterward. They feel something different in your presence. A groundedness that does not seek their validation. A warmth that does not grasp for their approval. A confidence that welcomes them without needing them. This energy is magnetic because it is rare. Most men operate from quiet desperation they themselves cannot see. The next woman who tests your stability will encounter someone unrecognizable from your former self. Her distance will not trigger panic. Her uncertainty will not unravel your composure. Her coldness will not send you spiraling into explanation. You have already survived the worst version of that test. Everything afterward feels manageable by comparison. This strength was forged specifically in the fire of staying silent when every instinct screamed to speak. You earned it through discipline that felt impossible at the time. You built it by choosing dignity over desperation again and again. No shortcut leads to this place. Only the difficult path of refusing to abandon yourself for someone who already left. The man who emerges from this crucible carries himself differently. His posture communicates self-possession. His voice carries quiet authority. His presence fills rooms without demanding attention. Women notice these qualities before he speaks a single word. And they recognize something they rarely encounter. A man who learned his worth through trial rather than theory. A man whose stability was tested by fire and remained standing. That man becomes unforgettable. Decades will pass and she will still think about you. Not constantly. Not obsessively. But in quiet moments when life slows down and her mind drifts backward through the men she has known. Your memory will surface differently than the others. You will not be filed under regret or resentment. You will occupy a category entirely your own. The one who stayed unmoved while everything collapsed around him. She will remember the night she expected you to fall apart. She anticipated tears or anger or desperate bargaining. Instead she encountered stillness that confused her completely. Your composure haunted her more than any emotional outburst could have. Because it suggested something she had not considered. That perhaps you would survive perfectly fine without her. That suggestion grows louder across years. Every relationship she enters afterward carries your invisible presence. She measures new men against the standard you accidentally set. Their insecurities become magnified against your remembered steadiness. Their neediness feels suffocating compared to your grounded warmth. Their desperation reminds her of what you never displayed. You became the benchmark without ever trying. She will wonder about your life now. Whether you found someone who appreciated what she overlooked. Whether you achieved dreams she watched you chase. Whether you think about her during your own quiet moments. These questions have no answers she can access. And that mystery preserves your power in her memory forever. The man who explained himself becomes forgettable eventually. His words blur together with every other desperate speech she received. But you offered nothing for her memory to diminish. Your silence created permanent space in her mind. That space echoes with possibility rather than certainty. And possibility always fascinates longer than fact. Whether she ever reaches out becomes meaningless to your journey. Some women return years later with apologies and curiosity. Others disappear completely into separate lives. Both outcomes validate your approach equally. Because you never stayed silent to manipulate her return. You stayed silent to preserve something more important. Your unshakable relationship with yourself. That relationship becomes the foundation for everything beautiful that follows. The right woman will recognize your depth without requiring proof. She will appreciate your presence without demanding justification. She will understand your worth without needing your explanation. Her intuition will grasp what words could never convey. And that mutual recognition will feel effortless because it is real. You stopped chasing someone who was leaving. You stopped explaining yourself to closed ears. You stopped trading dignity for temporary connection. And in doing so you became the man every woman secretly hopes exists. Confident without arrogance. Strong without coldness. Present without desperation. Loving without losing himself. She will remember you as the one she could not shake. The one whose silence spoke louder than promises. The one who taught her what a man looks like when he truly knows his worth. That lesson stays with her forever. And so do you. That lesson stays with her forever. And so do you. If this message hit home and you want more content that transforms how you show up in life and relationships, subscribe now and join the brotherhood of men becoming unshakable.